A&B Hot Rods here. I'm Barry. Amy's on the camera, doing a fantabulous job, as always. Um, we had a little bit of a change in pace because we had the holidays and everything. So what we did, I went ahead and primered the back side of the car. What we used was, it's called High Build Primer, which I don't know if you ever used that before, but it's almost like trying to spray Bondo out of an air gun. So you got to have a really big needle and seat. It turns out what worked out for me was a 1.8. I'm not sure. You're not going to get it through a 1.4. I guarantee it. It will clog up in like 5 seconds. So what we did, I went ahead and put this quarter here that we had already started on. Went ahead and put that under the High Build Primer. And then I went ahead and went across, which if you look at the other videos, you'll be able to tell how much damage there actually was on the rear of this car. It had a lot of rust. It had a lot of surface rust. It had a lot of imperfections. But, it came out really well. We came back here to the tail end. If you look over on this side here, you can see where I patched this panel in. Okay, so, and I did that on the exterior. I did not cut that and butt weld that in. I didn't want to butt weld that in because I wanted the strength. Okay, so I did the same thing over here. But if you look here, it's all gone. So it matched in perfectly fine. I'm really, really happy with the way that the trunk lid and all of this came out, because like I said, there was a lot of surface rust on this car. And what I did, I used the rust converter, like I told you guys about. I did all the rust converter on anything that was rusted. And then I came back over and I started laying coats of filler primer. And basically filler primer it's kind of like liquid Bondo. I had to thin it down, even to get it through a 1.8 needle and seat on my gun, because there was just no way. I tried to spray it with my actual paint gun, which had a 1.4 needle and seat, and there was no way. So I went to a 1.8. I thinned it. Now the thing about it is, people's gonna talk to you and they're gonna say, no, don't thin your High Build Primer. It doesn't matter if you thin your High Build Primer. What's important is that you get it to spray and lay down like you want it to lay down. It doesn't matter if you're using a 1.8 and you thin. Because yes, will you have to put more coats on? Absolutely, you will. Because, you're not shooting, basically you're not shooting, something that's so thick. I don't even know if they make a 2.0 needle. Maybe they do. If they do, I don't know about it. But, you're just not going to get it through your gun. What's important is the amount of coats that you put on. So if you thin your High Build Primer, you just need to put more coats on. That's all. It doesn't matter if you're putting it on. If you grab a roller and roll it on, Okay, yeah, it's going to be really thick. All right, it's going to look like hell, but it's going to be really thick. But if you thin it down, it's not going to hurt. High build primer is high build primer. Makes no difference. So I thinned it down to the point where I could get it to lay down like I wanted it to lay down. And if you look here, this here that is straight spray. That's how it came out of the gun. Is it gonna build as much as unthinned high build primer? No, it's not. I just need to put more coats on. That's all. Make your job easier. Don't fight it. If you try to spray this stuff on exactly like they tell you to mix it, you're gonna fight it. It's gonna be horrible. You're gonna sand for days trying to get all that freaking high build primer knocked down to where it needs to be. Or you can just thin it out, lay it on smooth like this, and take a half an hour to sand it. It doesn't matter. Primer's primer. Okay? So, what we're gonna do, I was totally ready to do the other quarter, and then with the holidays and everything that was going on, I got a little bit sidetracked, and I really wanted to get this portion of the car under primer. All right, so we had a lot of damage down here. We took care of all that. We had, which right now, my tail light's not fast.
No.
All right, so, we had a tremendous amount of damage over here on this quarter. All right, now this quarter right now is not sanded. It looks like it is, but it's not. But when I do sand that, it's going to come out silky smooth, and that's what you want. You don't have to. When you're mixing your paint and your primers and stuff like that, yeah, you gotta. It's like they all have mixed ratios, okay, so to speak, and that's fine. As far as my activator and my paint, I never adjust that, ever. As far as activator, paint, and thinner, I absolutely will adjust that. Today it was really humid out, so I had to thin that out to the point, and you just gotta get used to when you're mixing your paint. You gotta get used to when you're mixing your paint to know where you're at. You lift that up, like I'll start mixing my paint, and I'll put a little bit thinner in there, and I'll mix it up, and then I'll lift whatever I'm mixing that paint with. It may be a screwdriver, it might be a wood paddle. It doesn't matter. I'll lift that up and I'll watch how many drops come off. And I know I need to be thicker, I need to be thinner. I know where that paint is going to flow through that gun based on whatever needle and seat that I'm using. If it's a 1.4, it's got to be really thin. If it's a 1.8, not so much. You got to get used to that. And that's, you learn that through years of paint. And that's the only way to learn it. If you pull that up and it drips, and you're running a 1.4 and you start spraying and you're getting dry spray, you're getting, it looks like oatmeal coming on, you're not thin enough. You either need to do one of two things. Thin your paint or put a different needle and seat. So the only needles and seats that I have a 1.4, a 1.8, I believe a 1.5 in one of my other ones that I use. But so you just got to get used to it. You know, adjust. If you start spraying and it looks like oatmeal, pour it back into your mix cup. Change your needle and seed, or thin it some more. Add more thinner. That's all you need. And you'll get it. It'll lay down. This right here, this whole tail end has not been sanded. This is how it came out. Straight out of the gun. Because I knew how to adjust for what I had. I knew I was running a 1.8. I knew when I started spraying it was just not right. I put it back in my cup. I added some more thinner, mixed it back up. I actually mixed it with a screwdriver. I held the screwdriver up and counted the drips of paint. Once I got where I thought that 1.8 would spray, we got this. And it's perfectly smooth. There's nothing wrong with it. So you have to be able to adjust. You know, the temperature outside, your humidity, how much airflow you've got in your shop. I don't have a whole lot of airflow in my shop. I got a fan back there, I'm sure you can hear. I've got another one up here, and I've got a window open. And that's all I got. So, you know, I'm used to my environment that I spray in. But, you know, the bottom line is, if you're trying to spray, just learn how to adjust. Don't be afraid to pour that paint back in your mix cup and add a little more thinner. Don't be afraid to pour that back in your mix cup and add a little more paint. You know, whatever you need. And you should be able to tell as soon as you hit that trigger, it's either flowing or it's not. If it's not flowing, it needs to be thinner. If it's flowing too much, then you can dial your sprayer back. You know, you can dial back your airflow. You can dial back the amount of material you're putting on. I normally, when I'm spraying, I spray in a pattern about 6 inches. That's just me. You know, if you want to spray in a fan pattern that big, that's fine. Or a tiny fan pattern, that's fine too. But make sure you do your overlaps. You want about 3/4 overlap anytime you're spraying. And it doesn't matter if you're spraying primer, it doesn't matter if you're spraying base coat, clear coat, you want a 3/4 overlap. Because if you don't, you're gonna get dry streaks. I guarantee it. It's gonna happen, you're gonna hate it, you're gonna hate life, you're gonna spend a whole bunch of money, and you're gonna have to redo it. So make sure you do like a 3/4, not a half. So if your spray pattern's this big, you don't want to overlap that much. Spray pattern's this big, you want to overlap that much. And you'll never get dry streaks. Guarantee it. Keep your paint thin enough to spray through whatever needle and seat you have. If you have a 1.4, I could have sprayed this with a 1.4. I could have. But I would have had to have thinned it way more than what I did. Just to get it through the needle and seat. So I didn't want to do that. I sprayed it with my 1.8. So I was able to, I actually mixed it 4-to-1, which is primer to activator. And then I added about 20% on my cup. I added about 20% thinner. And it sprayed through that 1.8 perfect. So you just got to be able to adjust. You have to be able to adjust from day to day, temperature to temperature, humidity to humidity. You'll get used to it. Just, if it don't look right when you do your first swipe down through the fender, stop. Just stop. Because if you keep going, you're going to hate yourself. Because you're going to create a mess. It's going to take you hours to straighten out later. Could I have sprayed that and then spent hours to sand it back down because it came out like oatmeal? Yeah, I could have. But I hate to sand. So, like I said, I was a drywall finisher, and the last thing I wanted to do was sand drywall. So I tried to make that as smooth as I possibly could. So I didn't have to sand. So, and that's what you want to do with your paint. So, what we did, I went ahead, again, this was the absolute worst fender on this car. And right now, it's the absolute best fender on this car. I haven't spent a whole lot of time on it, not really. On and off, a little bit here and there. Like I said, I've got a full-time job, so I don't have a whole lot of time to spend in my shop. But so I try to maximize the time that I'm in the shop to try to get as much done as I can. So we're looking absolutely great on this fender. The trunk, I am super happy with. We had all these areas that had, the little rust patches. And again, if you go back and look at my other videos, you'll be able to tell. You look at the back end of the car. And it was horrible. It really was. But it's not now. And all it took was a little bit of time today, figuring out the high-vel primer. Like I said, I've never used that before. It's kind of a learning curve, but I was always used to just regular primer, which comes out like paint. So high-vel primer does not come out like paint. It is high-vel primer, which is basically really thin Bondo. But on the upside, this car does not have a lot of Bondo. It's not pile full of Bondo. There's not a section on here that I ever feel like is ever going to rust out, because this car has seen its day. It's been out there in the salt and the snow, and this car's never going to see that. It'll be lucky if it ever sees a drop of rain. Okay, so, because that's the way I want it. I'm trying to protect this car. I'm trying to get this car to the next generation of hot rodders. So, it's pretty spoiled, and it's going to remain that way as long as I own it. But back here, all the work that I did back here with the patch and all these patch panels and stuff that I put in, and it came out freaking awesome. It's amazing.
I'm amazed.
So what we're gonna do, like I told you guys I was gonna do this on the next video. I'm getting there. Holidays.
Family first.
Give me a break. So, our next project, I promise, will be this quarter over here, which it might be hard for you to get over here, babe. So, what we're going to do...
Oh, I'm getting it.
Over here, I'm going to pull this off, and well, you can't see it, but back behind here is a whole bunch of stuff, and like if you dig it out, it's pine needles and everything else. And that's why the other side rusted out. So I'm gonna pull this off. We're gonna pull this off here. And wow,
That's almost ready to come off
it's almost ready to come off.
and fix.
And then we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna flare this fender. Okay, and I'm gonna show you guys how to do that. And we're gonna get
Yes,
that
'cause
done.
It's not flared right now.
And then, yeah, this is just flat. This is the way the other side was. So we're gonna match that quarter over here. And then I'm gonna take care, like, again, if you guys watch the other videos, the trunk and back here behind the back glass was just like this. You know, we had these huge
Huge rust spots.
surface rust spots that's not there no more, and they'll never come back because I treated that. So we're gonna go ahead and in the next video, I promise, I know I said I was gonna do it on this one, but I lied. I didn't
Things
know.
happen.
I didn't know we had a holiday. So we're gonna flare this out. I'm gonna show you how to do that. I'm gonna show you how to round rod it.
Yes.
And then, you know, like right here, you know, I've got all these rust areas here. I'm going to show you how to take care of that, which is the same thing I did back there on the back. And that way you're not, you know, if you're out there and you're looking at a car and you see this, you're not going to be scared of it. You're going to be able to take care of that because I'm going to show you how to do that. And you're not ever going to have to worry about it again. So, you know, when you're looking at these old cars and you're thinking about buying one, don't let this scare you. There's nothing to that. This metal on this car is so freaking thick. I could almost grind through that and grind it all the way back down till it was smooth if I wanted to, because the metal was so thick back then. Not today. Don't try that today. You will grind through your fender. So yeah, the next thing we're going to do is this quarter, because we're all the way over here to this quarter now. Over here I need to show you, right here we have an area which I haven't, this is just overspray. Don't think I primed that. I did not. I don't even think that's finished. Don't get me wrong. So what I'm going to do over here, this was actually a bumper bracket. So what I'm going to do, because it's all rusted out here, and yeah, I treated it, but it's just, you can see, it's just freaking breaking off. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to cut this out. And I'm going to put a patch panel in here, and then I'm just going to make I'm going to make a spacer bracket to come out from here, because this is part of what holds the back bumper. So instead of trying to duplicate this, I'm not. You don't have to. Don't think everything has to be exactly the way it was made, because it doesn't. You know, if I cut this out and I get rid of all this rust and I just put a flat panel in there and I use spacers to space the bumper, it doesn't matter. The bumper's still mounted and it's solid. That's all that matters.
It's,
you know,
more
it doesn't
solid.
happen. I'm not restoring this car. So I could care less if I have this, or if I just have a flat panel with some spacers. I could care less. It doesn't matter. The bumper's mounted. That's all that matters.
Yep.
So I'm going to do that over here, and I'm also going to do that on the other side because it was kind of rusted out. And again, it's not important to me that it's exactly the way it was from the factory. I don't know if you noticed in the front, the car is nowhere near factory.
That's right.
So, to me,
Not with that tilt front end.
Yes, it does not matter. What's important is it's mounted solid, and it's safe. That's what's important. not being politically correct. I am one of the worst politically correct people you will ever find in your entire life. So yeah, that's it. Kind of a short video. I know I didn't really show you guys much other than seeing the car. But it's holidays. I gotta
It's
have
4th
my,
of July.
I gotta have my days off.
Yes.
So yeah, we'll in the next video, I promise we will do the other quarter panel.
Yes.
Because I am super happy with where we're at right here. I really wanted to get this done. I really wanted to get this under primer. And it came out awesome. I'm not gonna lie. I'm super happy with it. Yeah, I got nothing else, baby.
Time for fireworks.
You got anything?
I
We're gonna
got
go watch some fireworks. I want to drink some beer because that's what I do. I
Yes.
love it.
We're gonna go watch fireworks.
We're gonna go watch some fireworks. Have a fire out back. You guys want to see that? We can show you that too. We have an amazing little cabin out back. So yeah, stick with me. Hit like and subscribe. I need more subscribers. I do, and I'm gonna tell you why. Because I'm not gonna lie, I'm not making any money off these videos at all because I don't have enough subscribers yet. So hit like, subscribe. Let me know what you think. I've got some updates coming. I have music. My son Keith did some music for my video. I'm gonna have like an intro to our videos from now on. Not this one, but and he did all that music. He spent a lot of time on it. It's freaking amazing. It came out awesome. I love it. So yeah, when we do the video over there, you're gonna have an intro to that. And I'm going to do that, believe it or not, through that damn program. Because I have figured out how to work it, finally. So yeah.
Okay.
Hey, you guys stay safe. Have a good day. Have a great weekend. We'll catch you on the next video.
That's right.